So here's another late review. This one's super late for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem. I did a piece for this, so I gotta review it. I'm gonna just start off by saying that my love for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles started pretty young, but I would say like my definitive TMNT like team is the 2003 animated series that used to play on Cartoon Network. Also like the 2007 TMNT movie. Not quite as much, but still liked a lot of it. That being said, I think the star of this movie really is the art style. Since Spider Verse, animation has like just become more creative lately. Instead of doing the very pristine 3D animation thing that like Pixar and like even DreamWorks kind of brought to the forefront, or going like plain 2D. It seems like the new style is to try to come up with a way of combining 2D and 3D animation, and it's worked well for Spider Verse, Puss in Boots, and now this. And I think even the Bad Guys to a similar extent. Now for this, one thing I noticed that I haven't heard anybody say is that I think it's interesting that the art style kind of depicts humans as almost uglier than them. I have heard, and I've also noticed that it's not quite like Spider Verse or Puss in Boots, where Spider Verse feels like a comic book when you look at it. Puss in Boots feels like a storybook. This feels like sketch art almost. Even if you look at things like the moon, stars, background building, like things look very rough. Even lights depicted in like scratches. But one key thing is that the fact that the humans kind of have very awkward proportions to their face, and they kind of look monstrous, which is kind of supposed to be, I guess, poetic, or considering that they literally are the monsters, the turtles, as we know them. I think it was a great idea to cast teens to voice the roles of the turtles. The cast in general was just fire. Seth Rogen did a great job. Ice Cube did a good job. Jackie Chan. But the turtles, as teenagers voicing them, it kind of really allowed them to kind of be teens. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles almost never felt like teens in almost any form of media, at least not teens today. And sometimes they don't even feel like brothers. They feel more like, teammates. But this movie really showed that not only are they very distinct and different, but they actually have a lot of similarities between them, which would make sense if they were related. All of them got their time to be super competent. All of them got their time to shine and be funny. And they get along, and you can really feel that they have that strong love for one another. And that they support each other, but they also can get on each other's nerves in small ways. But usually when they're, at odds, it's not really at odds. They just make fun of each other, mostly in jest, and that just kind of felt more real to me. Them being siblings and them being the only people they could really rely on besides Splinter, their surrogate father. The story is simple and tight. And because of that, it allows them to do a lot more things with the, acting, and, just the performances in general. Like, it kind of, it's pretty simple. It's just like, hey, they want to save the day so that way they can get recognition and be able to come into the light and be normal kids. Which is a very understandable motivation for them. And in that process, and then befriending April, they learn like how to actually be real heroes. It definitely does take a turn that I haven't seen in any other TMNT or like Ninja Turtles project, which is the fact that they do eventually come into the light. Like, they are accepted by human society by the end, which is very awesome. Baxter Stockman was voiced by Giancarlo Esposito. I love him as an actor. I love him in Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, The Boys, especially is what he's known for, those three. And I feel like he's underused. I don't know if we're going to get more Baxter Stockman flashbacks, but if you watch the movie, like, wait, are we just not going to get him? Like, did they just use him for that role? He was great in that role, but it was very short. Going back to the Turtles, my favorite Turtle has always been Raphael, but I always appreciated all of them. I think as I got older, I started to like Michelangelo a lot more than I did. But one thing I like about this movie is that it kind of really makes all of them, like I said, funny. It makes all of them competent. Like, it's very easy to make Raphael just angry, Leonardo just like the, stick in the ass kind of character, Michelangelo just a goofball, and Donatello just a nerd. But they kind of did a good job of, hey, like, Donatello can be hilarious. And he's not just a nerd, but he's also, like, nerd in the sense that he, like, loves pop culture. Like, they all have their quirks. So, like, Leonardo, yeah, he's, like, the super serious one, but he's also like, it's kind of like paid up for laughs sometimes. and it comes from, they like make fun of the fact that like he can be a snitch, and like I just think that was interesting, and they make jokes about Raph's anger and how he needs therapy. I think that was one thing that was a little weak, but maybe as he gets older, since it seems like this is a very young Ninja Turtles, similar to how like Tom Holland portrayed a very young Spider-Man. I think that maybe they'll have the team developing more into like the roles we see them in other media, and just having those distinct characteristics. Leo becoming a better leader, Mike becoming probably a little bit more jaded. Maybe things don't work out in the human world. Who knows? There's a lot of ways they can take it. Like every other New York movie, like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, New York kind of saves the day. You know, the whole we stick together. That happens. It didn't bother me that much, but I can imagine that bothering some people. Ice Cube is in this movie. He crushes it, but he does do they do the rappers in the movie, so he's gonna make a lot of like hip hop references and sometimes it works. Most of the time it's like kind of random. Didn't bother me too much, but it did stick out. And that was a little weird. I also didn't like the fact that, there's a point where they definitely draw a parallel between Ice Cube and Splinter, both of them mistrusting the human world, and instead of it like being left for the audience to kind of figure it out, especially because it's not that difficult to figure it out, especially if you utilize visuals or you're just paying attention to the story. They literally have one of the characters say we're not so different, you and I thing, and that was like kind of annoying. Not only does New York save the day, anime saves the day as well, so I was very excited about that. Donatello, being an anime fan, uses his knowledge of Attack on Titan to like help with the end of the film. Overall, I'd probably give it a solid 7.5. Once again, it was a great movie, but there were some flaws, and there are things I would change, like the Ice Cube line and a few other stuff. The movie didn't feel too long too, which is a plus.